It's a funny, when you have, beside the old 78 that would break, the 45 single are not breakable. The LPs still play very well, even if they are 80 years old. Montreux was a very quiet city in those days, in the early 60s. In 1967, I came with the idea of doing a jazz festival. So everybody at Montreux said, a jazz festival? You must be crazy. For me, it was a very important point, and from day one, I wanted the festival to be recorded, not just audio, but also video. And I had to fight with the artists sometimes. They said, oh, we hate television, we don't want it. I said, how about your grandchildren? I said, well, how about my grandchildren? I said, maybe they like to see how you looked 20 years ago.
The beginning of the project happened when the president of the school went for a visit up to the chalet of Claude and saw the whole archive. And Claude Nobs was there presenting the collection and explaining that it was the best talent of the last 50 years. The president said, that's wonderful, but the tapes are now 40 years old. Do you have a copy?
There was only one copy. So if something happened to this copy, it would have been a disaster.
The archive of the festival, those 5,000 hours, needed to be saved and be digitalized.
At the beginning of the project, the challenge was to find the money, a lot of effort in fundraising.
It's a huge project. It brings some millions to do this kind of works.
I think Vasily is somebody who's very sensitive to technology, so for him the fact that the cultural heritage can be preserved with the use of technology was very, very important. That's why he agreed to finance the project of digitalization and especially research by the Polytech School in Lausanne, which would allow this project to happen.
The idea came up at that opportunity, organizing digitization of the whole, 11,000 hours of video, 6,000 hours of audio, multi-tracks, and then offer that to the researchers in many kind of domains at EPFL, in acoustics, signal processing, image processing, neuroscience, musicology, design, architecture, to build platforms for the people to be able to discover the content as well.
It's a long work. Each tape of 1 hour needs 3 hours of work. So it means that we need 15,000 of work to save the complete archive.
We need equipment, we need know-how. For the first types of format, VCR, for example, or 2-inch video tapes. For those ones in Switzerland, we don't have any equipment remaining. For those tapes, depending on the label of the tape, depending on the format, you might have to warm the tape at 60 degrees during 8 hours.
J'ai particulièrement travaillé au fait sur les années 91 à 93 donc, du Montreux Jazz, donc c'était vraiment les années de la HD, de la haute définition. Effectivement, donc de 91 à 93, on avait vraiment le top de la qualité.
There is of course a challenge in digital content to keep that for years. We use now a big server, active scale, which is about 15 petabytes, about 80,000 mobile phones, for example. We ingest every year the latest concert, the concert of the new event it's directly added to the archive. We are still going on digitizing side contents like interviews, like backstage jam sessions. This is an immersive place where people can discover the archive. You see there is a kind of jukebox, and here you can navigate across the years of the festival and maybe select in 2004. And here you would have the days of the festival, and for every day you would have the artists, and then for every artist you have the song that were played.
Claude was organizing a concert all year long in Montreux. It was a concert of Frank Zappa, and during the show there is someone in the audience that shot a flare gun, and the roof, the ceiling in wood completely burned down, and Deep Purple was there as a spectator. They used this event to write a song, Smoke on the Water, Fire in the Sky.
I would say there are several types of customers for the archive. At EPFL, of course, it's the researchers. The archive is at disposal for the researchers. They work on that and they can bring enrichment to the archive.
We are limited by the rights which are linked to this material, but the main objective is to make it available for the wider audience possible.
Switzerland has a very strong musical education. Students need access to the sources, and unfortunately they don't have it because of the depreciated material on which it's recorded. So now digitalizing it allows for the sources to be used by the students of any generation.
Teachers and friends always talk about new artists that I don't know, and my first reflex is to go check who they are. And depending on what artist, you can't really find anything, or you find extracts or really small stuff, and it would be awesome to know there's like a huge library of data that is available.
Well, we had this testimony from Quincy Jones, of course, that said that this is the biggest testimony on history of music covering jazz and blues. A lot of artists also have been convinced to be recorded in Montreux because of this history.
New technologies such as digital technologies do allow to add value to the current collections, but also preserve the collections from depreciation.
You are so beautiful.
The collection was registered at UNESCO. It was the first audiovisual library ever inscribed to the memory of the world.